As the primary source of income for gacha game monetization, banner systems need to be designed in such a way that there is a perceived generosity that is accepted hook, line, and sinker by its player base. It is also sparse enough so people feel just the right amount of pressure to open their wallets. The most effective tool in this regard is a combination of the scarcity of non-grindable premium currency in combination with the real-world time limit on a character's banner availability. For many players, typically those whom either enjoy the core gameplay regardless of who they're using, or people with no choice as they do not have the disposable income to spend in gacha games, their only option is to outright skip as many characters as they possibly can to stock up enough pulls for as many characters that they do want to try their luck for. Today, I want to give my personal outlook on pulling for characters in gacha games as someone who can drop thousands of dollars at the drop of a hat if I really wanted to. This video is for whales and dolphins. It's not for you. Sorry, average luck gamer. To set the scene, allow me to tell you my experience of first playing Honkai Star Rail. I had installed the game in the last 10 days of version 1.2, diving back into a MiHoYo game after having long abandoned gacha entirely after quitting Genshin Impact at the start of version 3.1. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about with the new kid on the block, and also hoped to grab Kafka with the stellar jades I would acquire through story progression. And after having made the stupid decision of pulling for every character in Genshin Impact from version 1.0 to 3.1, I realized how stupid that was to do and went free to play with Star Rail, only purchasing a couple subscriptions and battle passes after version 2.1. Unfortunately, while I was enjoying my time with the Starfaring Adventure and the Astral Express crew being just the treatment I needed from over a year of Paimon drama, my pull luck at the beginning of my trailblazing journey was piss poor. I would hit soft pity on the Kafka banner and lose my 50-50 to Himiko. This wasn't that bad of a setback for me, as Himiko was a standard 5-star that I did want, but obviously I pulled on the Kafka banner to get Kafka. It wouldn't be until I've completed all available story content from her to Space Station, to Belobog, to the entirety of the Xiaojiao Lofu, as well as a lot of the exploration and side quest content, would I reach soft pity again and finally have Kafka in my hands. There was just one problem. In my quest to get a character I really wanted to play the game with, there was no more game left to even play. And while 1.3 was right around the corner, it turned out to only be a half-hearted filler patch with nothing significant for me to throw my akimbo-wielding Stellaron Hunter at. Endgame wasn't an option either because early version sustain options were by far the worst fucking thing I had to deal with in Honkai Star Rail. I know Luocha had lost all value by the time his rerun came in version 2.1, but when your protective options look like this, you gotta understand that I was so done with the all stick no carrot bullshit of holding out for one of these clowns to pop an ultimate. So after having needlessly pulled everyone in Genshin Impact, and having spent a majority of my time living off of scraps in Star Rail, by the time Zenless Zone Zero came around, I found myself somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't pull every character if my likelihood of using them beyond the honeymoon period wasn't significant enough. But if I did want somebody, I'd spare no expense to have them as soon as possible, for as much content as possible. This was especially multiplied with the reveal of Ellen Jo for the first limited character of version 1.0 of ZZZ. Before Ellen's reveal, I actually had very little interest in any of the characters I briefly saw in the occasional promotional material or on the ZZZ official website, which in turn, of course, dampened my interest in the game before launch. But when the Sleepy Shark Maid had her teaser trailers revealed on the official ZZZ YouTube channel, a switch had flipped in my head and I was gonna get her no matter what. So on day 1 of ZZZ, within the first 20 minutes, and as soon as the signal search opened up to me, I was already dropping hundreds of dollars down, won my 50-50 for Ellen Jo, was reminded how bad weapon banners are when I got greeted with the Fusion compiler, and pushed forward until I got a Deep Sea Visitor. From there on, I had all of version 1.0 of Zenless Zone Zero to play with my Ellen Jo with. I wasn't thinking about pulling for anyone or looking forward to anybody, because I had them in my hands, and all that mattered was my time with them in the game, not some possible fun I might have with a character I never owned. Granted, my teams look like this, or even sometimes this, but let's not think about those cursed setups. Some of you may feel differently on this, but in my opinion, the only meaningful content in gacha games are the characters themselves. All other content merely exists as a platform to which players can experience their characters with and serve no real value on their own. Non-interactive content such as gacha stories and background lore serves primarily to sell you on a particular character rather than to sell you on the game's world as something to get lost in. Though of course the latter can exist, but likely isn't the primary focus for the gacha company. Consider for a moment when a gacha story decides to take away your main party to use a trial character that just so happens to be the on-banner character of that respective patch. Interactive content such as exploration, combat, endgame modes, etc. gives players opportunities to play with the characters they pulled for. So with this in mind, time spent gathering currency by playing content with the intent to pull a character is time and content spent playing that you won't have the opportunity to with the character you currently want to pull for. In the event that you cannot pull for the character you wanted, you now must wait an undisclosed amount of time until the rerun banner comes back around. This can be as nightmarish as upwards of a year or more. During all that time, you have to make a conscious decision to refrain from pulling too many newly added characters as to not be caught with your pants down in time for the rerun. Inevitably, that need to skip newer characters is going to gnaw away at you as you're exposed to new designs, personalities, story arcs, playstyles, and potentially a power gap with the character you're waiting to return. All the while, you're thinking about how much fun you could be having with the character you missed out on, either from lingering thoughts or exposure to the character in cameos of future content in the game or on social media posts. It's all a frustrating breakdown of a player's mental fortitude, all in the hopes of ensuring you won't let the same mistake happen again and do whatever it takes to not miss out on a character ever again. As a whale, I acknowledge that this is a privilege I have which allows me to never be put in this very situation. I can pull on day one, I can play on day one, and I can enjoy my time on day one. If I don't pull, it will never be out of budgeting reasons. To be completely honest, I don't know how some of you guys can go several entire game patches just waiting for a rerun of a character you missed out on. If I was in your position, it feels like it would be such a massive blow to my desire to keep playing that I would either put the games on the back burner and only begrudgingly play them to keep up with FOMO content, or outright quit soon enough. But I guess that's just the hand you have to play when you go into a gacha game with the intent to never drop a dime on them. And I'm sure the feeling of not understanding my own approach to playing a gacha game is just as unappealing to those of you on the other end of the aisle as well.